What's up everyone and welcome back to the MMA Fast. Today, let's get started with Raoni. Barcelos understands Talbott's hype, wants top 15. Being labeled an underdog is an effective motivator, and it was one for UFC bantamweight Raoni Barcelos, who was won against the much younger Payton Talbott at UFC 311 on Saturday night. Raoni Barcelos went on to beat Talbott by decision, but the pre-fight odds may have lit a fire in him. That being said, he understood what Talbott was going through. I've been in the exact same situation. I was an undefeated fighter. I was the big promise coming out of Brazil, and everyone's careers have a bunch of ups and downs. I'm not saying this is going to be his career, but there's a lot of things that happen throughout the career, and people need to look at that. It's what it is. You come in with a lot of hype around you, and all these things built around you. I've been there. Raoni Barcelos is ready to continue on, hoping to get back in the cage a couple more times in 2025. I want to fight 2 more times this year, maybe in Brazil. We've been hearing about May going to Brazil, after that one towards the end of the year. Grant Dawson would have fought Dariush at UFC 311. UFC lightweight Grant Dawson had a name ready to call out following his decision victory over Diego Pereira at UFC 311 on Saturday night. As luck would have it, his target happens to be the one man who was left out in the cold after the matchup shuffle at the top of the card. Beneil Dariush was the odd man out after Renato Moicano stepped into the main event on short notice. Dawson would have loved to take a fight with Dariush on short notice. If they had came to me and said, "Will you step up and fight Beneil?" I would have said yes. They didn't ask. Better case scenario, I get to fight Diego, who I was preparing for, and now I get to fight Beneil with a camp. Dawson still hopes the fight materializes for him sooner than later. Dariush said he was told the UFC had something big for him. I didn't hear that about the something big, but good for him. I hope he gets something big, man. He's a vet, and he's fought everybody, anytime, anywhere. I'm one of the anybodies. Maybe it's me, maybe he gets something bigger with a big name. I'm super happy for him. There's enough wealth and riches to go around for everybody. What I need to do is just start calling out people that I'm afraid of, that I don't want to fight, because I never get anybody I call out. Chael Sonnen breaks down potential clash between Islam Makhachev and Arman Tsarukyan. Chael Sonnen recently analyzed how a potential fight between Islam Makhachev and Arman Tsarukyan might play out. Sonnen opined that Arman had the capacity to win, but gave Islam the edge based on his performances to date. The Makhachev vs. Tsarukyan encounter was scheduled as the headliner for UFC 311, but this much-awaited encounter became a potential fight again after Tsarukyan pulled out of it one day before the event. I know Tsarukyan can beat him, you guys know Tsarukyan can beat him, but do we believe he can get top control? When we talk about how great wrestling is, are we talking from a defensive standpoint? Or are we going to the point that his wrestling is so good that he's going to get the top position and he's going to maintain that top position? I'm going to give Islam the advantage in grappling. However, Sonnen also stressed Makhachev's commendable striking skills, displayed in his fights against Dustin Poirier and Alexander Volkanovski. Now, when they are on their feet, Tsarukyan may have missed some things that Islam does. Islam fought Dustin Poirier so well when they were on their feet. In fact, when Islam beat Volkanovski the second time, that was also on the feet. Merab Dvalishvili unsure of next challenger after UFC 311 title defense. Merab Dvalishvili thinks he's running out of opponents at 135 pounds. After completing his first title defense, the UFC bantamweight champion had a tough time seeing a clear next challenger for him. He holds wins over the top 3 contenders in the official rankings of the division and has defeated 4 former champions, which makes his options thin outside rematches. I want to fight with the best guys in the division, like I always do. I think I beat everybody in this division, so we'll see who's the next best challenge. Dvalishvili is down to fight whoever the UFC sees fit, but he did suggest a rematch with Sean O'Malley, who he beat back in September. Dvalishvili feels there are some skeptics left of his O'Malley championship win and would like to leave no doubt who the better fighter is. Sean O'Malley was complaining about something and he really has a chance. He has a big chance, so I see him as a challenge too. Maybe he makes some changes this time and we go toe-to-toe this time and it will be a good fight. But I'm the champion now and they have to call me out. I'm ready to come back quick, as soon as UFC wants me to come back. I respect the UFC's decision now, and I will fight whoever will be next. Arman Tsarukyan agrees with Dana White regarding title shot issue. UFC star Arman Tsarukyan agrees with Dana White that a title shot shouldn't be next for him after his issues at UFC 311. Some believed he would simply receive a shot against the winner of the main event. Alas, as per Dana White, it doesn't seem as if that's likely to be the case. Instead, he said he'll have to earn his way back to the top after pulling out. As it turns out, Tsarukyan tends to agree with that statement pretty strongly. I agree with Dana White. Once my back heals, I'll be ready to prove I'm the true #1 contender by taking on anyone they put in front of me. Arman Tsarukyan knows that this was a big missed opportunity. Of course, injuries happen, and there's not a whole lot you can do about that. Still, when the UFC needs you for a big pay-per-view main event, they expect you to show up. Hopefully, he'll wind up getting the rematch against Makhachev at some point down the road. Alex Pereira reveals what changed his mind about demanding Magomed Ankalaev fight. Alex Pereira and Magomed Ankalaev are set to clash for the light heavyweight title in the main event of UFC 313 on March 8th. Ankalaev has been on the cusp of a title fight against Alex since the beginning of 2024, and he has finally been granted a crack at the 205-pound king. Following Pereira's victory over Khalil Rountree at UFC 307, he made no indication that he would be looking to return in the first quarter of 2025. He further admitted that while he was not opposed to facing Ankalaev, he tried to make life difficult for the contender to secure his title shot. I did say that I wanted to take a break, but I started training again. I started feeling good. I started seeing my evolution, so I called my managers right away and said, I want to fight in March. I want to fight Magomed Ankalaev. I know he keeps seeing I'm just an employee of the UFC and that I fight whenever they want, but I asked for him. I told them when I want to fight. Islam Makhachev after UFC 311. Plenty of fighters like to say they will fight anyone, anytime, anywhere. UFC lightweight champion Islam Makhachev actually did it. The fact that Makhachev took the fight without question swayed UFC CEO Dana White to declare the champ his #1 pound-for-pound fighter, as well as the greatest lightweight of all time. Really, it was no big deal for Makhachev. For me, it's nothing, man. I not prepare myself just for Arman or someone. I prepare myself for fight. For me, it's no matter. If this happened, like, before 1 hour, I would say yes. I trained and watched 3 months for the fight, not just for one opponent. That's why for me, it's okay. I'm ready for anyone. I'm not gonna say some name. Just send me contract. I am a fighter. If there is one thing that Makhachev needs before he retires, it's a second UFC title. I don't know when it's gonna happen, but I'm not leaving this sport without second belt. I need second belt to be, and after I will talk about like I am greatest or something. Charles Oliveira sends message to Islam Makhachev after UFC 311. Charles Oliveira is eager to run it back with Islam Makhachev after seeing what unfolded in the UFC 311 main event. Makhachev easily dispatched of replacement opponent Renato Moicano by first-round submission on Saturday at Intuit Dome in Inglewood, and Oliveira was seated cage-side for the title contest. It was a great fight. He is the champion. He did what he had to do, but I'm next, and he knows that. The lightweight champion is called Charles Oliveira. I'm ready for that. Makhachev defeated Oliveira by second-round submission in a vacant title contest at UFC 280 in October 2022. Although Oliveira lost to Tsarukyan at UFC 300 in April, he bounced back in November with a unanimous decision over Michael Chandler at UFC 309, putting himself in position for the rematch with Makhachev.